Hello and welcome to Our Perspective. I'm your host, Sister Charity, and joining me is my co-host, the wonderful, magnificent John Sales. How you doing?
I'm good. How about yourself?
Oh man, I can't complain. And if I did, nobody would really want to hear it. So I'm gonna just say I'm grateful today. How about that?
Okay. You look grateful today. You look like a glow. I see a glow.
Oh, you see a glow? Well, shoot, I worked hard. I worked hard to get this glow. You know, you got a glow, but I think it's some Vaseline. No, I'm just kidding.
It is. Tiny.
I'm just kidding. Okay, on a real serious note, I can't even find the words to say how difficult it is for me to watch. I don't want to say, I'll say youth, to watch youth interact with their parents today. I mean, I work with young people, and unfortunately, I work with those that are, quote, at risk. But there's an issue going on, and I know we did a show and we said we were going to talk about it because it was worth talking about for, the next show or whatever. And so I don't know if you see it or how it was for you when you were raising your children, but there's so much disrespect with these teenagers today. It's almost like they feel like they're entitled. And I want to talk about that because I want to know, how did we get to this point in our parenting?
From my perspective, I think our parents were harder on us, and we eased up on ours, and then eased up on theirs. Okay. You know, all that easing up, we don't go to church no more. We don't watch our mouths when we're around older people. We cuss at the whim, just because we can. Which I'm older, so my mouth has been this way for quite a minute. But the newer generations, we wouldn't cuss around older people. Right. Now they would. And it just all depends on how they was raised, because there's still some kids getting raised up right. So I don't want to paint a picture over all of them, but I'm going to say the inner city kids are just off the chain now, as far as the teenagers in the inner city go. And by that, I mean ghetto. I'm trying to speak with the right vernacular, so, I can not turn anybody off. But yeah. Are you talking about our kids? Wait, I just want to know so I can make. You talking about our kids?
Well, not necessarily. Not necessarily. I'm just talking about youth in general. To me, it's a lack of respect for those individuals that take care of you. And I mean, I could get this generation, they don't speak as they hide, and like we did. Like when we came into a room and there was an adult, even if we didn't know him, we said hello, as a form of respect. Even though we both had like a bad mouth growing up, a lot of people don't believe that I could cuss like I did, but I knew not to do it in front of my parents. And you know what? Since I said that, I think what the difference is our parents never cussed in front of us. They didn't cuss us out. I don't know about you, but I didn't get cussed out and stuff like that from my parents. But I think out of frustration and a lack of the ability to handle some of the things that we allowed to go on, like when they were 2 and 3, and now they're 16 and it's not funny. So I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but I noticed that parents cuss their kids out. Like,
full disclosure, I'm guilty of some of that, and I'll tell you a reason for it.
Okay.
There's no excuse for it, but the reason, I believe, for me, drinking and using drugs and stuff like that alters who you are. And when you see your kids doing something stupid, you cuss. But some people cuss with physical and then come physical after that. And then some people just cuss. They don't do nothing. They just barking out loud, trying to scare the kid. into behaving. And I think it's wrong. I do. The older me thinks it was wrong, because once you do something like that, you get them accustomed to thinking that's how you solve problems and get things done. Now, this generation is, I think, really, really bad with it. But that from somewhere. And I'm guilty of where, if my kids are cussing at their kids, and I'm guilty of it for sure. It started with me. It may be my daddy.
Okay. Well, praise God. I mean, we have the same parents, but yeah, I hear you, because sometimes men are a little bit more harder on males than they are on their daughters. So.
I got hit with, yeah, you never got none of that, which is good for you.
Right.
But
right. It's one of those things where I didn't push the envelope. I was too scared to push the envelope. So I kind of, watched how you got all those whoopings. Yeah. And I was like, no, not today.
I was a guinea pig.
Right. Yeah. But anyway, we won't go there. But I was just thinking with the parenting style, like, to be honest, it really frustrates me when I hear people say, you need to beat them kids, you need to whoop them. That's what's wrong with them. They're not getting hit upside their head. You need to pop them in their mouth if they. I don't agree with that. I don't know. How do you feel?
Excuse me, that's a slavery mentality to me. It's a corporate punishment, or beating someone into submission is a slave mentality. I'm smarter than that child on any given day. I can trick them into doing finesse them into doing what I need, manipulate them to do what I need them to do. Mm-hmm. And, I can come up with some consequences that don't involve hitting. It'll irritate you just the same. Take your stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Off the hint. If you think you got some privacy in your room, I could kill all that. You know what I mean? I don't have to hit you. I don't have to touch you. I could just manipulate you into doing things my way.
And maybe we need to have a class on how that's done, because I think that's a missing art form. But I would, in full disclosure, I believe that because of how I was raised, because we were raised that you don't talk back, to be seen and not heard. If you do something, your butt gonna get it. We were raised like that. And so with my first child, I think she used to lie, just lie for no reason, and I felt like that was so disrespectful. So she was the only one of my children that I used to take her jaws and go like this, because I didn't want to hit her, because I felt like I would hurt her, because that's how mad I would get. But my husband was like, you need to go in there and pray, because you don't need to be grabbing her jaws like that, And so that's what I did. To be honest, I had to pray. And not only did I pray in my secret closet, I used to have my daughter come with me. We're going to pray together. And I let her hear what I was telling the Lord. And it would go something like, Lord, please help me not hurt my child when she lies. I need your help, Lord. I need her to stop lying, because I am frustrated and I'm angry and I don't want to hurt her, but I feel like something. That's how the prayer would go. So we would get up and she would be like, I only had to pray that prayer one time.
And she talked with somebody, and I don't know who in there with us, but if what I did was that bad, I'm gonna straighten it up, because I don't want to be in this closet with mama talking about how she gonna hurt me if the Lord don't come down and help her not to,
And it's funny because it probably not funny to everybody, but it's funny because grandma, you know how close I was with my grandmother, and she was babysitting my oldest, and so my grandmother called me and said, "Oh, she just acting up over here," and I said, "Put her on the phone." I said it all calm, And then when I got her on the phone, I said, "Oh, when I get to you, I'm gonna break something off on you." And so when I picked her up later that day, she said, "Mom, I prayed and I asked God not to let you break nothing on me." It was kind of funny, but it's a true story.
No, it's funny because she went to the same person you went to for protection.
I know, isn't that funny? She
you
was
raised
like,
them up
"Dang."
right. I know them, and you raised them up right. It worked out. You didn't have to do all that, but we talk a lot about it, and I think when we don't do anything, the kids get wise after a while. Oh, he just gonna talk to me real bad and say a bunch of stuff he know I don't like, and then he'll be done. It's painless to a certain extent. If I got to do what I should have done anyway, if I still got to do it, and all I had to do was listen to this dude rattle off, when they get 15 and stuff and get some weight on them and they start liking girls, I'm talking about the boys or the girls, and they start liking the opposite of them, and that's when the lies come in, that's when the sneaking around come in, and that's when they think you ain't done what they doing. Right. And it's funny, it's funny to me because you're not as good as me, even when it comes to lying, when it comes to sneaking out, when it comes to doing none of them things, you are amateur. So I could always spot it. I could always tell just by what they were going through, what time it was for them.
And you're absolutely right. Okay, because my kids think they can hide stuff. They don't clean up good enough to hide anything. Like getting into stuff and all of that. But that's why I said my child used to just lie for no reason. But I do thank and praise God, because I did start praying and asking God for wisdom on how to handle certain behaviors without touching, without spanking and all of that. And I think that if we look at other ways to, discipline, I don't think parents today talk enough. And I'm not talking about the talking you're saying where you all mad and nagging and all of that, but really just to kind of hear their perspective. Let's talk about what's going on. How do you feel? But that has to start when they're like 3 and 4 years old, so they can get accustomed to sharing their feelings. Because a lot of kids, you wait till they're a teenager and expect them to share their feelings, and you didn't share your feelings, and they don't know you, and you don't really know them. It's almost too late. And I think that's why I want to have this conversation.
Yeah, mine actually told me when they were teenagers going to a high school that I needed to learn how to respect them. They deserve as much respect as I do. And I was like, "But you ain't putting nothing in on the light bill. You ain't helping me with this contract. You're not doing nothing that really benefits me other than just being my child." But, I don't believe in negotiating with terrorists. I have a 5-year-old now. I negotiate with him. Why? Because I'm old and I'm tired, and I know at some point in our relationship, he's going to be stronger than me. And this will be for the first time, because see, the other kids never got as strong as me. But I believe this little dude got a shot at it. So I'm going to do more negotiating with him, so he's not taking my Social Security check or doing nothing bullying me. You know what I mean? Because social media is really hurting these teenagers. They doing the most. And I feel for anybody who has a teenage son or daughter right now.
I want to speak to the parents that are they're just done, because I don't get a chance to really talk to the parents of some of these young people that, would come through my office. But I want to say, kind of give some nuggets as to how I managed to, by the grace of God, raise my 3 daughters, and they're successful and doing extremely well. But one of the things that I had to do, first of all, is I had to let them see how important they were when they walked in the room. Before, this is how most parents, if you don't go brush your teeth and wash that stuff off your face, and why you got that on, and what you doing? And so what happens, you okay? Oh, what happens is if when they come into the room, our eyes light up like we're really excited to see them, as opposed to trying always finding fault or always finding something to nag about. That's the first key. And I got that lesson years ago. I would just bite my tongue and not say something that I thought needed to be said. I would have a glow and say, oh, I'm so happy to see you. Or something exciting and not nagging.
Right. That's how I am now. Before, with my other kids, my adult kids, when they were kids, I thought just making sure they had something else to give them attention, like PlayStation and the TV and the video, the VCR and all that stuff they had. And then when they still wanted to come at me, depending on if I was drunk, high, whatever, my mood, I felt like they was nagging me. Like, I done gave you all this stuff now, leave me alone. That was the old me, and I think I'm guilty as well as others of not having that glow. Now, my 5-year-old, hey man, I'm ecstatic to see him because, I don't got nothing else to do. So the attention span is different now. I'm slower, older, and I can focus on one thing, more than one thing. And when I come in, I'm his world and he's my world. He's the whole reason I left in the first place, to go and come back and see him. So the other ones wasn't so fortunate. And I've apologized to him because I realized the error of my ways. But yeah, we need to start talking again about how we can better raise our kids.
And so I was fortunate because I started working at this behavioral school and working for the state with what they call, like I said, at risk and behavioral, youth with behavioral issues. And they used to cuss me out. They used to try to hit me. They used to try to do all these things. But before I entered the classroom or the environment where they were at, I underwent some training. And this training showed me how to give direction, how to not back down, say what you mean, do what you say. So if I had a violent young person in front of me and I wanted them to, pick up that chair that they threw across the room or whatever, if I'm not going to go all the way until they pick it up, that means if we there 3 hours, but you're going to pick it up, then I'm not going to tell them to pick it up. Because whatever you tell a kid to do, the training that I had, you had to follow through until it was done. So it makes you think about, what do I want this kid to do more important than picking up a chair? You understand what I'm saying? Or if I told a kid to go and clean their room, and I wouldn't say, go clean your room, go clean the bathroom, go clean the kitchen. I would say, clean your room and check back with me when it's done. So it holds them accountable. So I learned a variety of skills, even like what they call it, non-aggressive verbal skills. So you don't have to put your hands on people. It's a whole lot of ways you can get them, like you said, to do what needs to be done without cussing them out. Because if I'd have cussed them out, I would have lost my job. So I refuse to allow a kid that kind of power. So they can cuss me out all day. It don't bother me. You can call me whatever you want to call me. And so that's the mindset. Not that my kids did any of that, my personal kids. But yeah, the kids I work with, they were off the chain for real.
Okay. I think that probably helped you a lot in rearing your own kids.
It did.
But when you know a kid as opposed to know and loving a kid, I mean, we could say, I love all kids. there's some of them you really don't care for. And that's just the truth of it. You did it in profession. Tell me something. Were you able to separate the kids that you really didn't care for and treat them equally for the kids you did? Because I'm sure all these kids had a background where they might have been molested, they might have been this, they come from broken. In order to get in front of you and be around you, they came from something that probably wasn't too pleasant.
You know, to be honest, because I don't know how to say this, but I believed the Bible back then when I had this job, and he said, what you do to the least of mine, you do unto me. That's what the Lord told me. So I treated all of them as if they were my kids.
There you go.
And it, none of them, they had some issues, okay? But I had to love them because I was probably the only person that would love them, you know, unconditionally and not expecting anything in return. So yeah, I really did care about every last one of those young people that came into my presence when I was working at the facility.
Yeah. And now imagine people who are just there for a paycheck, and then they've done all these mean things to people who will soon be out doing mean things to others when they get their chance doing mean things. And it's like a vicious cycle of mean things being done. And now we are where we are right now, where most of the killing is being done by the younger minded kids who don't understand what taking a life is all about, what the consequences and how many people that will affect. They don't understand it. They just run off pure emotions that they got from artificial stimulation. That's the new drug.